Welcome back to Bricks at War. Today, we're going to take a look at my building steps with this firehouse. Once again, welcome back to Bricks at War. Today, I'm going to take you through the steps that I use to build pretty much any type of building. The steps that I take from beginning to end, from layout to modifications to putting furniture inside, tiles that I put on it. I'm going to walk through those steps one by one, and hopefully you gain some knowledge out of this. I'm sure you probably have a building process already, but hopefully I can help you in the future. And of course, we'll be looking for your comments at the end of the video on things that you like and things that you try to do. So sit back and let's get started with the building of this firehouse. So as you can see, we're getting started here with a new building on the base. We've been doing some reorganization and we're expanding the base a little bit. And one of those things that came available was this space right here. Originally, I was going to use it as a spot for a hangar for the new helicopters, but the space being what it is, it just didn't look right. And we decided to go with another one of those things that a lot of people commented on and said that we needed in our base, and that was going to be a fire station. So this is going to be the fire station. We're going to have 3 bays, 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, what I do, excuse me, when I'm designing, I will use these 1x1 round bricks to kind of mark out the spots of how I'm going to lay it out. So for instance, follow me along. This is the exterior wall of the bay. We've got bay 1, bay 2, and bay 3. And this kind of sets the main bay area in here. And then we're going to have a step-in area of the building. It's going to set back a little bit. And then there'll be a door here. And then exterior all the way around. And then this section here is actually going to be the beds. So the beds will be 3 wide, 5 deep, and they'll fit in here. We'll get 4 beds in here. And then as you can see, this internal wall, I leave a marking spot for like a doorway that's going to go right here. So this will be exterior wall, and then interior wall, then doorway, then interior wall, then it'll turn the corner, there'll be another doorway, and then this might be just open up to the bay. I haven't decided yet, but we'll get into those decisions a little bit later. But this is kind of something I've always done. I use these little pegs, kind of like stakes, like a contractor would use when they're laying out something out in the dirt, and this is how I do it. So what I'm going to do is I'll transfer this over to a base plate that we'll build this on. And from there, we'll start building. The building is going to set in here, but we'll be able to remove it. Most of the buildings on the board are actually removable. They're just built into the ground, kind of like a module would be built in, and where you can pick it up and move it out. That's the way these are all done, and this one will be the same. So as you can see, I've transferred this over now to a base plate that's going to fit in that particular space. The red pegs are gone. I've replaced them with the actual foundation footings, you might say, except for the one here where the door is going to go. I just want to make sure that I remember to leave that spot open when I'm building here for the door. Also, we've got the bays laid out here. We put some tiles in originally, or the way it's going to go. Everything that is blue, green, and then the tan over here, you won't even see that because we're going to tile over the whole thing. And as you can see, we've put lines in the bays now for the engines to follow when they back in. So like, for instance, this will fit in there nicely and kind of give them some safety lines to follow to get in and park their rigs. So there's one of the rigs. We've got, of course, we have some minifigs laying around. We always do that. So like if we want to see the spacing for like the bed spaces and so forth, I can do that as well. But this is essentially the second part of my building phase. Gives me a really good idea of spacing and how everything is going to function together. And sometimes when I go to this particular level, I may make a few changes. In this case, I did. I extended the bays out about 2 more studs to give just a little bit more room for some of the fire engines to park in there. So we'll keep moving on from here. So I've got the initial layout of the building I'm building here, which is, of course, I mentioned a firehouse. And we've got a couple bricks high done. But the next step I typically take in this process is to find custom tiles that I want to include in the build. And the reason why I do it at this point is that these tiles will need something to attach to if I'm going to hang them off the side of the building or on the walls or something. And I want to kind of pre-plan for that idea so that I can build in the appropriate bricks with studs on the side to hold those items in place. So let's get started with that process. We're going to pick out some tiles here, and then I'll show you what I got. So as you can see, I found a few tiles to use throughout the building of this particular firehouse. We've got some locker doors here. I've got only two, and I'm probably going to need at least four. So I'm either going to have to figure out where to get two more of these in this particular color, or if I can find four matching color in my collection somehow. I'm using them kind of here and there, so I'm able to find them in a different color that I've got at least four. And if not, it's off to Citizen Brick to order some more. We're gonna have at least one computer in there on a desk, and we'll have a couple no parking signs. Those will be right in front of, hung on the front of the fire station by the bay doors, so that way nobody blocks the bay doors. We'll have a couple exit signs above the doors that get out or lead out of the building, and we'll have a no eye injury thing on the wall that just for kind of funny kicks and giggles or whatever. Then, of course, a first aid kit will be on the wall in the event that a firefighter gets hurt. And, of course, a couple clocks, one in the main living room and one in the actual bay area so that the firefighters know pretty much what time it is wherever they're standing in the bay. So that's part of my process. Pick these things out early because you need to plan where you're going to hang them and put the appropriate bricks in there to do so. All right, so we're to the next phase now, which is always for me is window layouts. We want to get that laid in there in terms of the spacing. We want to make it look good. We want to try to make it symmetrical where possible. It just gives the building an all-around better feel to it. So we're going to go with brown window frames. It's going to go with tan actual building, and then the lower section is going to be dark gray because this is kind of the standard plain Jane color that we're going with on the military base. You know, we don't want to waste any money on the military base on on style or anything, so we're going to go with this particular look and color scheme for this. Now, as you can see, I've laid in quite a bit of the bay area, but I'm leaving some areas open around the edge. And the reasoning for that is that later on, when we get done with this and I space it out and I put fire truck in here, you know, type of thing, and if I've got some space back here behind it, I may build in some cabinetries or some equipment, and I'm going to need to put a different type of, instead of putting tile, I'm going to need to put something with studs on it for it to attach to so that it sits in there nice and tight. So I will leave this open typically for quite a while, almost to the end, and then get a better idea of what the feeling of the building is like. That way I can do what I need to do and not have to remove tiles to put additional things in that I want to stick to the floor. Because I know I'm going to have at least one trash can in here and, you know, some other equipment laying around, so that I want to make sure that I have that ability to stick to the ground. So there we go. All right, we're at that point where the most of the building is built. And we've got doors on, bays are numbered, windows are installed. Most of the garage equipment that we're going to put in there is put in. As you can see, a lot of the tiling, like we said, no parking, things like that have been added. We've got a fire bell back there to go off during fire situation. But what we're going to do today is we're going to test fit this into the actual layout itself to make sure that it is fitting the way it's supposed to. If you don't know this already, in terms of elevation wise, if you want to reach a 2-plate height and you're using a base plate, you can do that relatively easy. So a base plate sitting on top of a plate with studs will give you exactly 2 plates high. So this is a 3-plate depth to get to ground level here, the road level. And that's where we need to be at for the firehouse. So once again, this is the ground level. We need to be at basically a full brick, 3 plates high, or in this case, 2 plates and a tile high to match this. So what we did here is we laid down some plating in here, and then with this base plate laying on top of this plating, that'll give me 2 plates, and then the tile will go right on top of there, which will make us level with this particular spot. So I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down. I'm going to show you how this is going to fit in there nice and easy. All right, so here we go. Just pick it in, set it in place. It fits right up against the edge here. So this area is all set in place. As you can see, we have one tile here. We haven't filled in the front tiles, but this will match with this, and that gives us a really easy, even, smooth platform to work off. We'll go ahead and fill all this area in here, and then we'll match some greenery to this height in this area, as well as putting a walkway in. And then on the edge over here, we'll clean this all up as well so it matches the existing ground level when this base plate hits this portion of the table as well. So as you can see, real easy, and then it makes it possible just to pull that building out should I need to work on it, which I still need to complete. Okay, the roof has been completed. This is the next phase of the process, building the roof. On the roof, as you can see, I've put some small details in already. I've got a few ventilation shafts. And then we put a couple antennas over here at this far end just to, give it a little bit of flair on top of there. Obviously, it's a firehouse. You would expect some type of communication antennas on there. And then we've got the entryway here to the roof. You can go from the bay and go up on the roof should you need to be up there. And that kind of closes out. And then we've got the living quarters. It's all wrapped around. Now, if you were watching the video earlier, if you noticed in the video earlier, this design changed at some point. Originally, we were going to do a 45-degree slope, then turn the corner and go 45 degrees that direction. That became a problem as the corner where it met, I couldn't get it the seams to meet up exactly the way I wanted it to. It was becoming a problem. So I just made an adjustment at that point and kind of just created the roof a little bit differently than I had originally planned. No big deal. You'll find this a lot when you're creating, that you have to make changes on the fly and make it work for what you got in terms of pieces and time too. I didn't want to spend 3 weeks trying to figure out how to solve that issue and make it look right too. So there you go. That's the roof. That's this part of the process. On to the next. All right, we're at that point in the process where we need to make the furniture and other items that are going to go inside to outfit the building. So as you can see, I've got some beds here made up. We've got some lockers there for the firefighters to put personal items. Kitchen set here with a refrigerator, stove, and some storage cabinets and so forth. We've got a small table that's going to go up against one wall, and it'll have a couple stools for firefighters to sit down and eat their breakfast, read the newspaper, and so forth. And then we've just kind of a lounging area with a small table, a couple chairs, got a Game Boy on the table, all set up and ready to go. Now, unfortunately, based on my design here, I did not give enough room in the living space area. Part of this, when you're building, sometimes you have to give a little to get a little. and the bay was the most important part for the fire engines. And based on the limited amount of space I had to actually build the structure, I had to give up a little bit, and this is where I gave it up, is the living space area. So if you cruise over here and you look inside, not exactly a super wide. Matter of fact, I think it's 7 studs wide, long bay, but 7 studs wide, but still not a whole lot of room. And then that's where the beds and so forth will go. So, yeah, small building area on my end, but I was also limited in the amount of space. So sometimes this happens. Sometimes you go back and you change it later and maybe extend this wall out. I could do that, but based on kind of how this sits and where it needs to sit, it sits on one table, and when we move it over to this particular direction, it sits on a second table. Hard to explain kind of what I'm doing here, but it's going to be, it would be an issue for me. So this is why I wanted to kind of stop the wall right here. Okay, we have all the furniture and other equipment stored inside. We're going to go ahead and take a tour now of the completed fire station. We're going to start with the apparatus bay, and we'll take a quick look around. So as you can see, we've got an American flag hung on the wall, trash can, there's a welding torch here. I don't know why, just seemed like something fun to put in there. Little eye safety warning. We've got a fire bell, and then of course a light that indicates that the fire bell's gone off. We've got a station here where they're checking fire extinguishers to make sure that they're correctly filled and that they're dated correctly. And then we've got a clock on the wall. And then on this side, it may be a little bit difficult to see. We've got some equipment hung on the wall there, a shovel, axe, and a saw. And then over here, we've got just a box sitting there. It could be a box of, who knows what. On the firefighting floor bay, like I showed you earlier, we've got stripes, so the trucks have easy access to backing up and keeping those rigs straight. And then we've got some drainage spots on the floor too, in case there's some water in there and it needs to drain. So that is the apparatus bays. We'll go ahead and take a look in the interior here. Push that tile down a little bit. So in here we've got some furniture in here. We've got a small table. It's got a Game Boy on it, a couple chairs to sit down at. This may be a little difficult to see, but we've got the refrigerator and then the stovetop and the cabinetry. We've got the emergency safety kit here, or the first aid kit here, another clock on the wall, and then the table where we've got a firefighter sitting having a little breakfast. And then the area, the sleeping quarters area, we've got the 4 beds along with their lockers mounted on the floor, and they're all secure. So this fire station is done. I would have loved to have added a few more things, but unfortunately space did not allow for that. I sure hope you enjoyed this video though. Me walking through my process of how I kind of create something from beginning to end. There's a few more steps in there that I didn't cover, but they're pretty basic, and I'm sure most people have their process of how they do this, but this is how I do mine. Hopefully it'll help you. And we sure appreciate you taking the opportunity to look at our video today. We hope to see you back in other videos. Of course, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you've got ideas for future videos and some obviously comments about today's build and the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps the algorithm in terms of getting viewers and getting the views and the videos out there so that we continue to grow. Really appreciate all the support we've got. We're up over 2,500 viewers now, and we're trying to get to 3,000 here before the end of February. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.